I would be so happy to do a Big Time Rush reboot movie or something like this.
Has that ever come up?
I'm Gustavo Rocque. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Because there is no way Gustavo Rocque is taking the 4 dogs from Minnesota to Los Angeles to make them stars. It's never gonna happen. Never!
So, we have a deal.
Yep.
What's up? Welcome to the podcast. My name's Joe, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Gustavo is such a dream character. I can't imagine what you thought when you saw the audition that I get to play this guy.
That was a weird audition. I had been told by my manager that I was auditioning for an animated TV show. And he said, yeah, you go to Nickelodeon. It's like some animated thing. And I was like, okay, I'm just wearing a hoodie. You know, like, is that okay? And he was like, it doesn't matter. It's animated. They can't see your face. And I was like, okay. And I go to Paramount, and there's 20 guys in the waiting room. All of them are wearing suits and ties. They all have silver hair.
Oh, they're all going for it.
Oh, yeah. And they're all like businessmen. And I was like, what is this? I was like, and they're like, it's a live action show. And I was like, oh, I am dressed completely wrong for this. Like they were looking for Ari Gold from Entourage. That's what they were looking for. A silver fox Ari Gold. That was the breakdown for the character. Big ego, silver fox, Ari Gold, Entourage. That was the breakdown. And I called my manager and I go, this is my old manager. And I go, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, I'm completely wrong for this. And he goes, no. Do the thing where you know that thing that you do where you pretend you have a huge ego? Do that thing and you'll be fine. And I was like, oh my God. And I went in, did the audition, made everyone laugh. And there was a section of the script where you could improv one line. And the line was, how dare you disrespect me? I blank. And so you could just make up your own thing. And so I said, how dare you disrespect me? I gave Ice Cube his name. Before me, his name was Morris Lipschitz or something like this. And they just died and thought it was funny. And then I was like, all right, well, thanks for having me in. Walk out of the audition and I walk over to the set of Monk. And I had been working in the art department on Monk as like a printer, like just like a regular, production job. And I went over and I'm talking to Tony Shalhoub and I go, yeah, I just had auditioned. I think it went really well. And while we're talking, my phone rings and they go, your call back. You have to come back, call back right now. Where are you? Are you still on the lot? And I go, yeah. And they go, quickly go back over. And I was like, okay. And I walk back over. I go in. They go, were we able to catch you before you got off the lot? I go, yeah, I was hanging out with Tony Shalhoub. And they go, what?
Hollywood things.
Yeah, I go, him and I are good friends. We play racquetball together every other Thursday. We're buddies, no big deal. Me and the Schloobs, and they were just like, oh my God. And they cast me the following day in the role. And it was 9 episodes. And they were like, it's gonna be great. And then the following day was the first day of filming. So it was like really quick, like a really quick turnaround. And they within the first couple of weeks of shooting the TV show, they gave us a back 9. So we did 20 something episodes the first season.
Had the show already aired by the time?
No, we got a back 9 episodes before the TV show had even premiered. Like, they just knew. They were like, this is gold. It's going to be great. We're going to make a fortune with this. And they, and then I think we did 25 episodes season 2. Like, it was crazy, man.
Does the network just want that because they know it's going to be good, so that's why they push 20 rather than 13?
Yeah. I had this moment with the old president of Nickelodeon, and her and I are walking together. It's before the TV show had come out. And I go, man, I really hope this show is a hit. And she goes, it will be. And I go, yeah, no, I know, but like, hopefully, And she goes, that's not how children's television works. Like, if we decide it's going to be a hit, it's going to be a hit. And I go, yeah, no, totally. I'm just hoping that like people like it. And she goes, Steven, you don't get it. We're going to make a TV show where we stack the deck so hard that we have the best actors, the best writers, the best people writing the music, the funniest people that people have either not seen or are huge fans of. And we're going to have these gorgeous sets and this great thing. And we're going to have this huge, massive marketing campaign. And we're going to roll it out. And we're going to make sure that kids won't want to go to school on Monday if they've missed the episode that week. And I was like, well, hopefully they like it. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea how it worked. And then it came out and it was just like, just a massive, massive hit.
What's going through your head when you're hearing that this is going to be huge?
I take everything with a grain of salt.
You have to.
Yeah, because you're like, because all I was thinking is I call my mom, I go, hey, they're saying the show's going to be big. She goes, well, hopefully. It's like everybody just kind of hopes for the best. And I think if you get your hopes up too high, it's never owed to you to have big success. I think the product, creating the show, creating the art, like that's really the win.
That's what you can hold on to.
Oh, getting paid to make something is the greatest thing, whether it's acting, writing, singing, whatever it is. Like getting paid to make art in any way, shape, or form that's the win. Like how the audience takes it is just, that's icing on the cake, And
so much could fall to the wayside if it's marketing, if something else, you're paired up against something else on a different network, on a different,
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. You just have to hang in there and keep making stuff and keep working and doing the best that you can. Yeah. Like you can't judge your career on like all the successes. I think it's really on the amount of work that you get to do and how often you get to work with the same people again is like that's a big thing too. Also, and I'm just talking too much at this point, but like being able to work with your friends is goal number one. Like being able to work with people that you respect and that like bring joy to your life, like that's everything to me.
When you're filming that first season of Big Time Rush, does it feel like lightning in a bottle where the cast is amazing, the writing's perfect, you have him figured out?
Yeah, a little bit. It felt really good, especially in the first season, because in the first season, they were letting us improvise and play with the character. And I was working with these unbelievably talented people all around me, and everyone was funny and everyone was great. And you could go into the writer's room and like pitch ideas and like a lot of things that we pitched, were getting used and put in and then like, I don't want to say that it was funniest idea wins, because that is the goal, is to do a show where like funniest idea wins. But it was pretty close. It was pretty close to that for sure. There's a lot of things that, like you're working within confines, which I think can either do great things for comedy or it can like kill your spirit. And we were lucky enough that it like pushed the comedy, because we're working in the confines of children's television. So like no bad language, subject matter, everything is like for the children. And then there's music, so you can't do anything that's copywritten. You can't just improvise, anything. It's like there's confines to it. And when you have that, it either like pushes you to be better at what you do, or it kills you. And thankfully, it just made us all better. It just made us more fun.
When you're creating a show for Nickelodeon, do you have to do your acting style a little different because the audience is a little younger?
Well, I'm a huge goober. Like I grew up doing musical theater. I'm a loud, like obnoxious, like performer. And I mean, I've now boxed it in. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I've pulled it back for other things, like on other shows and other projects and things like this. But Nickelodeon is great because they just let you loose and they let you be as big and wild as you want. And it just let me push that character to every possible extreme. Like, it was great. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
Do you take the character home with you too to just build out more?
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy you could hang out with.
All of my wardrobe. Like, when I got that show, I had no money. Like, I was broke and doing stand-up and just doing whatever, to like pay the bills. And so like when I got that show, like they started bringing in these hoodies for me to wear, and the hoodies on the show were hand sewn from scratch by Lady Gaga's costume team.
Naturally.
A place called Muto Little that had done all of her, like the meat dress, like all the crazy early stuff. They were building my hoodies, and they were like $900 a hoodie to have made.
Are you allowed to take those home?
Oh, I would say, it didn't matter. I just go, I gotta borrow this. And then I'd wear that to like red carpets and to events and stuff like this.
Oh, he's everywhere.
I'm like, yeah, it's Gustavo just goes wherever he wants, and I would do stuff like I'd be driving down the street on the way to a red carpet. I would look out the window and see another red carpet happening, and I would just go pull over, and I would just walk up and go, "Hey, it's me from Big Time Rush. I'm here for the carpet." And they'd go, "Okay." And they would just let me go. And
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, I used to do it all the time.
And I know you stumbled into the wrong carpets too.
Oh, very many. Yeah. I once did this. I walk up, it was like a BMW dealership in Beverly Hills.
Oh, I need to go there.
Oh yeah. I'm in a full like suit, like tuxedo, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Stephen Kramer Glickman from Big Time Rush. I'm supposed to be here for the carpet." And they go, "Are you sure you're supposed to be here?" I go, "Yeah, I don't just show up places in a tuxedo."
Who does that? They're crazy.
I was like, yeah, I was on the way to another carpet. So I was like, I'm just going to stop and pretend.
More photos.
Yeah, 100%. And they go, I mean, I guess you can come in. And they walk me in, and it's the Chinese New Year celebration. And I am the only person who looks like me at the Chinese New Year celebration. All the women are in red dresses, and it is the fun, and I'm just walking around like, "Oh, hey," and then it was like pretty quickly like, I'm not supposed to be here, probably, But yeah, I've done that many times. I really try not to do it very often, but it can be really funny for sure.
Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, you just try to. Hollywood is such a strange place because it's like if you can find your way into the culture, then you can kind of
navigate
wherever you want to go, and you can meet people and have crazy experience. Like I was at the Pete's Dragon premiere and of the live action Pete's Dragon, and I see Joey Fatone from NSYNC, and I've always wanted to meet Joey Fatone.
And you want to sign him too?
Yeah, of course. Right, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, Fatone, and then like we started like talking, and then I was like, "What are you doing now?" And he was like, "I don't know. You want to go get you want to go to Hooters?" And I was like, "Hell yes, I want to go with Joey Fatone to Hooters." And so I went and hung out with him all night, and then before you know it, then you're friends with Joey Fatone. And it was like, it's like, what a magical, like crazy thing that you can just kind of mush your way through the Hollywood scene by like meeting people and being like talkative and
authentic,
a goofball,
genuine.
and authentic for sure.
What's up, guys? Real quick, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 into $250 in bonus bets just for getting started. And when every possession matters in the playoffs, FanDuel makes it easy to get you closer to the action. From player props on your favorite stars to all the tools you need to back them up. FanDuel puts player research right at your fingertips so you can check stats, trends, and matchups all in one place and make your picks with confidence. It's everything you need all in one app, so don't miss your shot. Go head to FanDuel.com or check the link in the description below. Now, back to the podcast. You really have that adaptability to be wherever. Do you think that Gustavo gave you that like leeway to step into that because he is?
I think so. I think that character opened up a side of myself that
So
let me have crazier experiences, talk to people that I normally wouldn't talk to, have the confidence of this, you know, he's like a multi-billionaire record producer, and like I was just a guy living with roommates in Northridge, you know? So then to be able to like put that suit on and be him out in the world really truly like helped me kind of have the confidence to do crazier and bigger things with my life and take bigger chances. You know, I think that's a big thing.
So your life really does change in a matter of 3 days.
100%.
Drastically.
I went from literally, I was working at an oil factory that made perfume for witches. That's where I got the call to go and audition for Big Time Rush.
That's my favorite store in the mall.
I was working at the Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab in the top of North Hollywood, way out there, getting paid like $6 an hour. And the only t-shirts I owned were the free t-shirts they would give me from working at this factory. And I was just barely getting by. And then the manager called and was like, "Oh yeah, you have an audition." And I was like, "Okay, I'll see you guys later." And they were very nice. They would let me go to auditions. And so that is the key to working in Hollywood is you have to have a job that will be okay with you going to auditions, and you have to have a job where like to be able to survive, to live here. That's the goal always, is just to stay in Los Angeles. Because once you move away from LA, unless you're like really famous, the way that Hollywood looks at you is kind of like, oh well, you know, that's okay.
You're not a serious.
It's not a serious. Yeah, it's like if you're really famous, you can move to Burlington, Vermont, you know. But like, if you're not that famous, then you kind of have to stay here and be in it and be like right in the mix. You know, it's part of the deal.
What do those first days of you filming feel like? Do you feel like you are on a sitcom? Does it feel like you are part of this?
First or second day of filming, Scott Fellows, the creator of the show, walks up to me and he goes, "I got to tell you, this is a huge deal. The fact that we were able to find a funny 40-year-old that hasn't been discovered yet is like a huge deal to us." And I go, "I'm 29." And he goes, "You look like," you know? And I was like, I don't know if you can swear, but he was like, "You look like shit." And I was like, thanks, you know? And like he like walks
there you go,
away.
being funny again.
And I was like, you know, but I've looked the same like since forever. Like I've always looked like this. So it was kind of a trip. It was really funny. Everybody when we started, you know, it was fun it was always fun watching Big Time Rush perform a song for the first time. It was fun to be their boss and not be their dad. That is the death of comedy, is playing a character on Nick or Disney where you're the father and you're the dumb
you have
father.
to give the lessons.
Yeah, and the kids are smart and the parents are dumb. It's like we didn't do any of that. Like the fact that I was like their boss.
It's a dream role.
It's a dream role. It truly is. It is baked into like my, you know, whole personality, and it like let me, you know, play. And also I got to spend a week at Sony Music shadowing a record producer, a very famous record producer.
That's insane.
That was wild. I got to spend time in the studio with the Wu-Tang Clan.
Just seeing how it operates in there?
Yeah. I got to hang out with the RZA and
the Rizzler?
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine? I was like, the Rizzler. I learned so much from him.
Now we could get him.
He was a fetus. Like I got to spend a bunch of time with a bunch of of different like big music producers and learn from them and experience like how they deal with like the stress of the industry and getting baseball bats thrown at their head and actual, yeah, 100%. Like,
what do you take from shadowing a big record producer to your character?
The aggression that those record producers, like the screaming, yelling record producers, I think that's cooled off a little in present day, like in 2026. I don't think people are getting screamed and yelled at as much, but in 2009, there were guys throwing awards out windows on Wilshire Boulevard. Like these guys, some of these men and women that were record producers at that time were extremely intense, and they were fighting streaming music. They were fighting all sorts of crazy things that were happening in the business for the first time, and I got to be around a lot of that, and you could just see like this is going to be great fodder for the TV show. And also, the more anger and the crazier my character would be, the more Tanya Chisholm, who played Kelly, could like have to control me. And she's a comedy icon. She is a comedy genius and does not get enough credit ever. And I love her so much. So being able to have that kind of team with her was like a huge deal. And then the Big Time Rush guys would constantly rage bait me into things, into moments, and they would do it while they were off camera. They'd make faces at me or do their lines back off camera in silly voices or like prank me on set. Like they were constantly messing with me, and it just made me crazier. It was great. It was great.
What's the friendship like with the Big Time Rush guys when the cameras are not rolling?
It's very different from each guy to each guy. And it has changed and grown in very fascinating ways. Carlos was like a real silly goose when we were shooting the TV show when we started. Like real goofy, kind of silly. And then about halfway through making the TV show, he started taking everything very seriously, and then he became our director and directed episodes of the TV show, and he was fantastic at it. And so my level of respect for him went from like, oh, he's just like a talented, nice guy, to like, oh, this guy is like a force to be, reckoned with. Like he's very artistically, pretty brilliant. And then present day, I've spent all this time with him recently. He's got, a beautiful, wonderful wife. Alexa is so incredible and kind. He's got 3 kids who all call me Uncle Stavo, which is so weird and wonderful. And his kids are great. And he's an incredible dad. And he would do stuff on the tour like, we have a moment on stage where I'm with him on stage, and he would turn to me in front of the audience and go, "Hey, by the way, have you guys heard Steven's new album? I just listened to the whole thing, and it's really great. From Here to Eternity. It's out now, and the vinyls are for sale. Go get one." And you're like, what? And then we would be sold out within seconds, because most of the audience of the Big Time Rush shows on the tour were between 10,000 and 25,000 people per show. So, I mean, he was doing me like a giant solid. Like, I dropped new music on the tour. He was like, "I just heard your new song." Like, he's a fascinating character for sure. James, I've known James Maslow since he's 13 years old, because his dad and my mom are friends in San Diego randomly, so random that is a real thing. And I like saw him work on a production of The Last 5 Years, the Jason Robert Brown musical, when he was like in high school. We did Jewish high holidays together and sang at the piano together when he was a teenager. And then suddenly his dad was like, "Oh, my son got cast in a Nickelodeon show." And I was like, "Tell him congrats." And then it was like a month later, I got cast, and he watched the tape that they were casting me, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's Stephen Glickman." Like, he like freaked out and then called me. And then, my relationship with him has always been very strong. it is we've bonded over a lot of things. He got me a trainer to work with me, and that trainer helped me lose about 125 pounds, which like changed my whole life.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then
that's while you were filming the show
this
too,
is while
right?
we were filming the show.
And Nickelodeon loved that.
Oh yeah, they loved it. They love when you lose weight and ruin everything.
The continuity.
They were so pissed at me. Nickelodeon was pissed at me. Now that regime has changed, but the people there at the time were not stoked at all. Like I came in, you know, I had been a 56 waist, and then I walked in, I was a 44 waist, and they were like, none of the clothes fit anymore.
So now you need all new wardrobe.
All new wardrobe. Yeah, and that was a huge problem. So the first episode of that season, they put me in a t-shirt, a hoodie, a vest, and a jacket all at the same time.
As to make it look baggier?
To make me look, bigger, to make me just look more like my character. And then they slowly just were like, whatever, like he's going to look the way that he looks. And it you know, it like saved my life and like changed my life and made me a lot healthier, which is a marvelous thing. But yeah. And then, you know, on the tour, you know, I went with James and Carlos and Logan and Kendall and my band and stuff. We all went to the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland, and it was devastating. And then almost immediately following that, I just started telling the audience I was Jewish every night. And then James joined me and he started doing the same thing. And it like... what started happening immediately because of that is I started getting text messages from people in the most random places in the world being like, I traveled all the way from Ghana to be there, and I've never met, I didn't even know that there were other Jewish people in the world. Or like, I traveled all the way there from the Ukraine, from a war zone, and like, this meant so much to me to hear you proudly talk about being Jewish on stage, like things like this. And it was like, it made me proud. It made me feel good. And it also brought me and Maslow like closer together in kind of like an interesting way.
What's the biggest crowd size you performed in on this recent tour?
30,000 was the biggest.
How do you command a room of that size?
You know, I asked Logan, who I love and adore so much. Logan's dressing room was across the hallway from me when we were filming Big Time Rush. So we had breakfast together every day, and we would, you know, we got very, very close, and I adore that guy. And I called him before the tour and I said, Logan, how do you do this? Like, how do you go from sitting backstage in catering, drinking a soda, to being on stage in front of 30,000 people? Like, how does this work? Because I know what it's like to walk out on stage in front of like 2,000 people, but 30,000 people is like a lot of people. And he said, rehearse the crap out of your set, get it to the point where like you can just
autopilot, muscle memory.
Yeah. And then walk out there and your performance skills will take over, and you'll be able to just enjoy being on stage because you will have worked so hard on the work that it will come naturally. And what's kind of fascinating is it reminded me when I was in college, at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, I had an acting teacher, and he said, there's no thought in the process of acting. It's all visceral, being built by the offstage thought process.
That's deep.
Deep. Hard breakdown. But what it means is if you prepare enough and know the work off stage, when you get on stage, your performance will just come out, and you'll be able to focus on the work instead of focusing on the writing or focusing on the lyrics in this case, right? And I rehearsed with my band for this tour 5 days a week, 4 hours a day for 2 straight months. And we prepared 25 songs. So we were only doing 5 songs a night, but I knew that we could switch off and change things up along the way so we wouldn't get bored or get stagnant. And it 100% worked because we were super prepared. We were ready to go. And then you get on stage and you just have these like insane moments, and your heart is beating out of your chest. Like you're looking at you know, 25,000, 30,000 people is a lot of people to look at. It feels insane. It feels like sometimes it felt like you're performing for a planet, like in an arena where it goes up, you know, all the lights would come on, everyone would have their lights out, and it felt like a planet was pushing towards you. And like we did the Intuit Dome in downtown Los Angeles.
I love that venue.
18,000 people sold out. And it literally felt like we were performing for the city of Santa Monica. Like it just felt like an entire city. It felt like the Galactic Senate. That's what it feels like. You ready for some nerd stuff? Sometimes it felt like that. Sometimes it felt like we were going out as warriors and they were a giant monster and we had to slay them. And every time we slayed the audience, we would get an applause from the end of the song. And it was like round 1, round 2, like every song was another round. And it was like, we got to finish them off. We got to kill these dudes. Like, so then the last song, we always made sure that it was like a total banger. And just we would go out on stage, me, my drummer, Buddy Gibbons, and my guitarist, Soren Cressell, the three of us, before we'd go on stage, we'd be like, let's burn this place to the ground. And then I'd wait off stage and they would play Bulls on Parade for me to walk out onto the stage, or Back in Black, like live, for me to walk out. And like, you want to feel like you are the most badass human being in the world. Like, walk out to 20,000 people screaming while Back in Black is playing. Like, you will feel like Iron Man. Like, you'll feel like you are ready to take on the world. And the goal every single show was to break the building in half. Like, we wanted to leave being like, oh, we have destroyed this. Like follow that, you know, like that kind of feeling. And we just like, so we would close our set with like Iris, you know, by the Goo Goo Dolls, with the whole room singing along. We'd close our set with Pink Pony Club, like a metal version of Pink Pony Club. Or we would close with Welcome to the Black Parade, which is like one of the greatest My Chemical Romance songs ever written. It is an absolute banger.
What song goes the most nuts in that audience?
Pink Pony Club was definitely the one that surprised all of us, because we kind of went into it being like, well, you know, I'm a straight white man, you know, it was me singing Chapel Roan's this like gay anthem, kind of, you know, it's an LGBTQ plus anthem in a lot of ways. And I wanted to be respectful, but I also am singing it for a very real reason, because my job that I had before Big Time Rush, one of the big jobs in Hollywood that I had, was being the opening act for a drag queen show called Dream Girls at a LGBTQ plus club on Santa Monica called Rage. And I love that community, and I always want to be an ally to that community. And I started hearing, you know, around the country and around the world that like drag performers were like, there's like illegal stuff that they, you know, that they're not allowed to perform here, perform there. That, and then the gay community or the LGBTQ plus community is consistently losing their rights for all sorts of things. And I was like, well, why don't I be, I like my, you know, my sister and her wife are like two of the most incredible people I know. And I love all of my friends that are in that community. Like, I want to be like an ally to these people. And so I'll do this song and I'll just can rock it out every night and get the whole place, men and women, everybody singing along and loving it, you know? And it became a very special thing, you know, to me. And then it also started as you know how these TikTok trends start. It started a TikTok trend where people started coming to the show and being like, I hope he plays Chapel Roan. And then they go, no, this is the Big Time Rush show. And then it would cut to me singing. And it blew the song up. The song did millions and millions of plays on TikTok and like, you know, changed the game for me in a lot of ways. And it made it back to Chapel Roan, and she listened to it and said that it was awesome, and that is super cool. Like, that's a super, you know, amazing thing to hear. And so yeah, just slow, you know, that was probably my favorite. That, and then Girls Just Want to Have Fun. We did a Bruce Springsteen E Street like style cover with me playing harmonica of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I freaking love Cyndi Lauper. So like getting to do like a big rocking version of that song, that was incredible. And last one, because I get so excited about this, is I had gone through a breakup but maybe just like a couple of years ago, and the song that helped me get through it was Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, which does not make any bit of sense. Like, I am an adult man. I've had a driver's license for a very long time. Like,
it's so relatable.
It's so relatable. You're driving around, you're like, I can't go to Chipotle anymore, you know? Like, it's like really crazy how that song just hits home. It just crushed me. And so we did like a big rock cover of Driver's License, and I heard from her manager, and her manager was like, you are killing this. We are very happy with you. Please continue doing it. And we've done it all over the world. And every time we do it, the entire audience, it'd be like 25,000 people with their lights out, you know? And that is a crazy thing. I know that I'm talking too much, but this is like a real thing. I told one of my best friends in the world, this guy Mike Black, who's a comedian at the Comedy Store. I told him, yeah, whenever they all hold their lights up, like I can't like look at it. It's like, it's too scary. It's like a scary feeling to like suddenly have all of these lights pointing at you, like feels very intimidating. And I'm so new at performing for large places. This was like 3 shows into the 73 shows of the tour. And I say this to him, and he goes, oh yeah, God forbid you should experience something that only a few people in history have ever gotten to experience. And I was like, nah, man, fine. And so I started like peeking, you know, I'd have my sunglasses on, and I'd like look a little bit. I go, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
pretty cool. I get it.
It is pretty cool, I guess. All right, Mike. But I thought about that every single time that would happen. And then, you know, slowly I got more comfortable with it. And by the end, you know, of the first run, I was like, okay, I can handle this. But man, in the beginning, it was nerve-wracking.
When the show ends and it's done, did you think Gustavo was kind of put away? The Big Time Rush shows were no longer, you weren't going to come back to this world?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was heartbreaking when that show ended, because we wanted, you know, I don't know. I didn't want to let it go. I loved it so much, and it meant so much to me. And you know, there's a part of you when a thing ends like this where you're like, well, what's next? You know, I'm excited about the future. And then there's a part of you that's like, what if I never work again? What if I'm not like good? Like, what if this was a fluke, you know? And you battle those two parts of you, battle back and forth for like a good couple years of like trying to figure out what's next. And do you take a regular job? Like, maybe you get a job at a studio, maybe, or something. It's like, what happens to you after that show ends? And definitely got like very depressed and could not, you know, I'm lucky that I had stand up and that I could go back to stand up and be performing, you know, like on a regular basis. I'm lucky that podcasts exist and I could like do a podcast for a long time. So I had like something to keep my
creative juices.
Yeah, just
everything.
stay alive and creative. And I started writing more, and I got to work for the Jim Henson Company as a writer, and that was really cool. And
What'd
things
you
like
write
this.
for them with that?
I wrote a TV show with two other guys, Mike Black, that comedian friend, and John Schnepp, the late John Schnepp, who did Metalocalypse and Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Venture Brothers. The three of us wrote a TV show about outer space called Earthmen 9000, and it was amazing. And we ended up getting to hire Jessica Gao to come and like punch up and work with us. Jessica ended up creating She-Hulk for Marvel, and she wrote the Pickle Rick episode of Rick and Morty. So we had great people. She worked on it, and Ian Edwards worked on it, the stand-up comic, who's a writer and a genius. And so I got to, I've gotten to do a couple of really, cool things, but it was really hard to let that part of myself go. And it wasn't like I went from getting, when the TV show was on, I would get recognized maybe like 2-3 times a week, like in LA, 2-3 times a week. And then as the show started, was gone, those next couple of years, it just faded, where it was like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, someone would be like, "Hey, I know you," but it was like, whatever, and you just kind of, all right, we'll figure out what's next. You find the next piece of your career and the next things. And I got super, super lucky. I got a few months, it was like a year after Big Time Rush ended, I did Workaholics on Comedy Central, which then directly led to Nick Stoller seeing me and having me in for Storks. And then he cast me as the understudy voice, like the rough draft voice, which is like a thing. When you make an animated movie, it takes 4 years to make an animated movie.
So you're the scratch for the artist to create
So I did, yeah. So I did scratch for Pigeon Toady in this movie Storks, and I'd done scratch before. 3 Bears. I did scratch for all 3 of the bears. I've done it for a ton of things, but this one, the character sings, he's kind of crazy. And originally the character was only in 4 scenes, and with me improvising with Doug Sweetland, the director, and Nick Stoller, it turned into about 30 scenes that the character was in. And we had Phil Lord and Chris Miller in the room, who did Into the Spider-Verse. Those guys were with us all the time. And Brad Lewis, who won the Oscar for Ratatouille and producing that. So we had this great room full of all these incredible people. And I was making them laugh and having fun with this really fun character, being like, "Oh, hi guys, awesome," just like being like a huge goober on set with these guys every day.
Did you know the voice right away when you saw the description?
I tested 2. There were 2 voices, and the one of the 2, it was a bad guy, and the character's eyes were had a half open. And I had a roommate years ago who he was from Long Beach, and he would say mean things to me, but in a Long Beach accent. And so on a regular basis, he'd be like, "Your life is a garbage pile. Have a great day," and would walk by, or he'd walk, he'd be like, "Oh, I saw that girl you were with the other night. Gross," and he would just have this over the top silly voice. And Nick Stoller's roommate in college had the same voice, almost the same accent. And so he related to it right away and was like, "That's what we need. We need this kind of surfer bro, but mean," which is a weird voice for a mean character. That's not usually, usually a surfer guy is chill, so it just gave an interesting flair to Pigeon Toady. And then after 4 years of working on 3.5 years of working on the movie, they said to me, "Hey, Phil Lord said, listen, they want to replace you with, the studio wants to replace you with Jonah Hill. We're fighting to keep you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "They've let go of all the other scratch people now, and now it's Andy Samberg and Jennifer Aniston and
Ty Burrell. That list was crazy.
Kelsey Grammer, Key and Peele. you're like the last holdout. And so we're trying to keep you. They're trying to let you go. So I'll let you know what happens. And I was like, okay, but at this point, I was so grateful for the experience along the way of doing 3.5 years with these people. And I was like, it'll lead to something no matter what. And then literally like a week later, I got the phone call from my agent and she was like, I got 3 offers today and you're one of the offers and you're going to be in Storks. And I was like, oh my God. And to make matters even crazier, I went in and did a scene when we were doing Scratch where I did all 4 characters in the circle that are all talking. Like it was just 1 line each, 2 lines each or whatever. And that made it into the trailer. And so I ended up getting paid as all 4 characters, which was like the dream. Like the dream has always been, to do voiceover work and be like singing and acting in a animated cartoon. I mean, that's, Robin Williams. You grow up watching, Robin in Aladdin and you're like, this is what I want to do. And how do you get to that place? And yeah, Storks meant the world to me. That was like the most fun.
In television, the contracts work where you can get 3 characters voiceover. That's like part of it. Does that work for movies as well? When you are doing 4 characters now, do you get an extra pay bump?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was a bump for voicing all 4 of them. And I believe it was 3 separate SAG contracts. So I get paid for each character, or they grouped 2 of them together. One of them had a bunch of lines. It was the snow rabbit, the monkey who had multiple lines. And so I think he was his own contract. And then the polar bear who only had 1 line. So I think they made it Snow Bunny and polar bear were one contract. And then Pigeon Toady was his own contract, of course. And then I got to also have a contract for the monkey too.
Do residuals still come in for Storks?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's one of the only things I get residuals for, because they didn't do residuals at Nickelodeon
for kids TV.
Yeah, there's no residuals on kids TV. So 80 something episodes that have been played millions of times and nothing. But Storks residuals still come in every 2 months, 3 months, and they're awesome.
Is there amazing. A bump, like it just gets added to HBO Max, so now you see a rise in it?
Yes, absolutely.
Ah, that's so cool.
Also, right now is the 10-year anniversary. This September will be the 10-year anniversary of Storks. So we're doing press for that. Like they have us doing a thing with the whole cast and everything again to like promote
Storks 2.
Yeah. Oh God. I wish.
Would you return to the role?
Oh, in a heartbeat. I would return to any role. I mean, I would be so happy to do a Big Time Rush reboot movie or something like this.
Has that ever come up?
It's never professionally come up.
Just chatter amongst each other.
It's just been chatter among us, and I think there's a lot there. There's a lot of reasons why it should happen, and I would love for it to happen. I went around at one point to all the guys and pitched them a movie that I wrote called Reunion, which was about a high school reunion where the whole cast of Big Time Rush, the whole cast of iCarly, the whole cast of Victorious, you bring them all in. They all play different characters. And then it's like a murder mystery where people are getting knocked off, And I was like, that would be so fun. And everyone I've talked to about it was like, hell yes, super in. And then people would think it's a reunion of the TV shows, but it wouldn't be, like it'd be like Scream, but with the casts of a bunch of Nickelodeon shows and Disney shows, which would be so much fun, I don't know. I also I would love to do a podcast with Tanya, who played Kelly on the show, because she's never watched a single episode of Big Time Rush.
That would be a cool rewatch.
Like a rewatch with someone who's never seen it, who's in every episode, and then have guests on for each episode who were someone that worked on that episode. Still trying to figure out how to make that a thing. But I love that idea. I would love to do a pod, like especially with someone that I love and adore,
What were the relationships like with Victorious and iCarly during that time? Did Big Time Rush like interact with them?
Not really. We were allowed to have those people from those shows on our show if they were playing themselves. They couldn't play the character from the show because two separate creators. And also they shot those shows over at Nickelodeon Sunset and we were at Paramount. So there was no running into each other. I never met Dan or that whole, thank God. I never had any like run-ins with anything with them, but I would see Jeanette every once in a while. Miranda Cosgrove did multiple episodes of our show, and
she was always Miranda.
Always played Miranda Cosgrove on the show. Yeah. Jerry Trainer and I are both doing NostalgiaCon. So I'm going to get to meet him for the first time, which is crazy. Like you would think we would know each other by this point. So I'm really excited to meet him because he is a genius. He's a comedic genius. That guy was amazing on the show. And, Cosgrove she's so talented. She's so funny. She was brilliant on the show. Like, love Miranda. We had more interaction with the Victorious cast because Victoria Justice would come over to our show sometimes. Matt Bennett and I have become extremely good friends, and he took me on the road with him as the opening act for his Party 101 show. So I got to bring my band, and we would get to do like an hour to like open his like concerts, and that really prepped us to be able to do the Big Time Rush tour. Like it gave us a chance to do these like 2,000 seat House of Blues shows, and it was awesome. I love Matt Bennett. He is a really good person. Leon Thomas from Victorious. Leon and I have been really close, good friends for a very long time. And his success is wild to see and fascinating. And I'm so proud of him. And Mutt is like such a badass song. And his album is just, I'm like obsessed. I love him. The one that is mind-blowing is Ariana. Like Ariana, we would see at like Kids' Choice Awards and at things like this, and she was always polite and she was always nice and very sweet. And when she was making Hairspray, the TV musical version of Hairspray, I ran into her at Universal and she was standing in front of the soundstage, saw me, and I was with like some girl that I'm friends with. She sees me and she goes, Glickman, and ran across the lot and jumped up and gave me a big giant hug. And I was like, oh my God, Ariana Grande, how crazy is this? And she was like so sweet and she's always been very sweet and very kind to me. And I'm very excited for her and for her life. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch.
Are you watching the other shows on at that time too, just to be aware of what's in the ether, what's popular?
Sure. I mean, there was a lot of crazy shows happening. I watched as much as I could as an adult man. I was like, I don't know how much I could deal with the rest of it.
I'm watching Blue's Clues, Dora.
Yeah, Yo Gabba Gabba, shout out Yo Gabba Gabba.
You gotta be aware.
Yo, dude, Yo Gabba Gabba was wild. Those guys were crazy.
I saw them at Coachella last year, just walking around. Best celeb sighting of the weekend.
The best. Oh, what was cool is early in the Big Time Rush years, there was a thing at a school where it was like where you read to kids, and so I went, and Patrick Starfish was gonna read with SpongeBob. They were gonna read like a story book to these kids, and Tom Kinney was running late, and so they were like, we'll hold a little bit, and I was like, oh, I'll read as SpongeBob, not realizing how insane that is to like throw that out.
Can you do a SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Oh, can we hear it?
Oh yeah. And so Patrick Starfish goes, that's not his name, but he was like, yeah, sure, let him do it. He was like, oh, sure, let him do it, you know? That's like a Ray Romano. He was like, yeah, let him go do it. Deborah. I'm just kidding. It's the worst impression. And so I come out and I like take the book and I'm like, once upon a time there was a very small starfish named Patrick. And I'm like, doing pretty okay.
That's pretty good.
It's okay. And I'm in the middle of doing this story, and I'm like, and at the bottom of the sea, there were 2 other fishies, and one of them was really small, and the other one, and as I'm doing this, Tom Kinney walks in, and he goes, hey, are you doing my voice? And I go, uh-oh. I gotta go, folks. And I just was like, dun, 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 and like made it out, you know, but again, stupid, like should not have been doing SpongeBob, the mascot for the entire network. Like I would like, that's such a crazy thing to do, you know? But he was so nice, and I have been friends with Tom ever since because of that. And last year we did a charity event for Children's Hospital together and raised money for CHLA together. And I love Tom Kinney. He's like my hero. So
Can we fire through some fan questions?
yeah.
How was the show pitched to you as to what the show became?
The show was pitched to me as 4 guys from Minnesota who were not great singers, who were like played hockey, and then they were going to become a boy band. And that I was going to turn them into a boy band. And what I think happened is that happened very quickly into the show. And so we got to see the entire lifespan of a boy band, which really was what the show was about. It was about friendship, and it was about standing by each other and believing in each other, and you know, and trust. I think there was like a lot of that like my character, you know, slowly had to trust that their instincts were great, and which is kind of a fascinating thing, because Kendall Schmidt from Big Time Rush was writing the songs that were on the show that I was supposed to be writing, that my character was supposed to be writing. He was in real life writing the songs that they were singing. And some of the big ones like Cover Girl and you know, there's a pile of them. And that is kind of a fascinating thing, is that the show on its surface level was about a boy band, but what it was really about was trusting in your friendships and you know, that like friends can be family. And I think that that's a really magical thing. I loved it.
Was Kendall the main songwriter on the show for the songs?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, I think they all contributed as the show went along, but Kendall was one of the main songwriters for sure.
How does it feel touring with the Big Time Rush boys versus when touring with them while they were doing the show?
Well, I never toured with them during the show. This was the first time
This is the first official time you're
absolutely. Yeah. There was a couple times during the pandemic where they would let me go up on stage and introduce them, but actually getting a chance to tour with them, it's more than a dream come true. It's an unfathomable dream, a thing where you go, oh, I mean, I've been singing and playing the piano for 40 something years, you know, like it's something every time you sit down live on TikTok and you play and you go, oh, there's 250 people in the room. Oh, there's 1,000 people in the room. Wow. Oh, neat. You know, we're having fun. You can't even read the comments. They're flying by so fast. And then to actually be on a real stage in a real place with a real band and be performing these songs that you love live is mind blowing, man. I mean, they sold out the Ziggo Dome in Amsterdam 2 nights in a row. That's so many people. We performed for over 1 million people on the tour, in total, 73 shows. And
That's a crazy tour.
it's a crazy tour. And I had only been out of the country 2 times in my life, 2 or 3 times. So this is like it was fascinating to me. You know, every single place that we went to was cooler than the next place. It was like it was all amazing. I loved it so much.
Was
It
there
made me so happy?
Was there a moment you realized how big of a global phenomenon it became?
Yeah, I think one of the big moments that really, oh God, I don't know if I should tell this story. Was this bad? th- One of the weirdest moments that where you're like, what is going on? Is we were in DC, and I'll say this. Okay, I am a Canadian. I am not the most political person in the world. I am not a fan of the current administration. But that is just me personally. Like I just how I feel. But I don't really talk about politics on social media and things like this. But we were going to perform in DC. So I thought, you know what we should do? Because I was feeling a little feisty. I was like, we should do like a little song that's a little like kind of, stick it to the man kind of song. And that might be just Delulu brain being like, yeah, what I'm doing matters. But like, I was like, whatever, we'll do something. So we picked a Bob Dylan song. The Times Are A-Changin'. And I was like, we're going to do this song like it's a protest song on stage. And we're going to get it in DC. Like, that's such a badass move, And like, it'll be so cool and it'll feel like a movie, And I'm about to go on stage. And one of the security guards he had told me earlier that day that he was very MAGA. He was like, oh, you're really going to do a protest song on stage? Like, aren't you Canadian? Aren't you worried about getting kicked out of the country? And I was like, I think we're good. Like, we're at a big time rush show. It's not like the president is here. Like, it's fine. I was like, we're just doing this because it feels right in the moment.
Is that this tour?
Yeah. So I was like, whatever, dude, we'll just do it. And, anyway, I go on stage, I do it. We have a great time. The whole audience sings, oh, the times they are changing. And we get off stage and I was like, yeah, dude, high fives. I'm like riding on cloud 9. And as I'm walking back to the dressing room, I walk past catering and a guy in catering, black suit, white shirt, black tie, goes, excuse me, are you Stephen Glickman? Shut up. And I go, yes. And he goes, and you're Jewish? And I go, yes. And he goes, well, I have been sent here from the White House. I am the assistant to the First Lady of the United States of America, Miss Melania Trump. And the First Lady and the President of the United States of America would like to invite you to the White House Hanukkah party. Are you available? I go, I'm going to be out of town. And he goes, I didn't even tell you when it is. And I go, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be I know when it is. It's in December. I'm going to be in Europe. And he was like, oh, okay. All right. I'll let them know you said your best. And I go, cool. And then I was like, like ran to my dressing room. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like freaking out. I get back to my dressing room. And all I could think was like, what is this current administration's version of a White House Hanukkah party? Is it just Kid Rock and me playing the dreidel game? Like, is me and Melania lighting the menorah? I'm like, I'm out, dog. Like, no, thank you. I'm good. I was like, it was the trippiest, like, holy, like thanks, but no thanks. Oh my God, it was so crazy.
We answer this one. Would you ever do a Big Time Rush reboot? Absolutely.
1,000%. Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Admire his beauty.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
What, they said that?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I appreciate that. That's kind.
Where am I and why am I freezing?
Oh, yeah. That's the first line from the pilot. It was very funny. To do the first shot, it was a oneer. So,
The long no cuts.
The long no cut shot. And so there's all these extras and they're all jumping up and down in front of the Paramount Theater at Paramount Studios. I'm in a giant limousine. Tanya walks up, the limo stops. I get out of the car and I go, where am I and why am I freezing? Like, that was the thing. And she's like, you're in Minnesota. And then I'm like, and I need a new latte. And it's frozen. And I just dump it on the ground, right? The first take, I go, where am he? Where hama yaba yabas? And they're just like, what was that? And I was like, let's do it again.
Take
and they're
two.
like, reset the limo, put the audience back where they're supposed to be. Like, oh my God, the pressure on that first day. That I had only been on one TV show before that. I was on a show called Carpoolers, which was created by the Kids in the Hall, which, as a Canadian, like, huge deal to me. And I was so excited to be on that. And they were just, you know, I had fun, but it was all improv too. Like, the whole thing was Jerry married from Stand By Me, Jerry O'Connell. So it was Jerry O'Connell and a whole bunch of other funny people, and Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall, and Bruce McCullough was directing it, and all these great people. And I had a great time, but, you know, like, that was it. It was like 2 episodes or 3 episodes of that. And then suddenly you're on a series where you're a series regular.
It's so insane too that you get thrown right into it right after the audition.
Oh yeah. Also, the reason why I was a series regular on Big Time Rush was because I was in New York. I had just finished playing Shrek in Shrek the Musical on Broadway. And I was stepping in to do Young Frankenstein, to do the monster for the Broadway tour of Young Frankenstein. And they called and said, hey, because there was a delay between the audition and the actual show. And they called and they said, all right, we want Steven to come and do this. And Mel Brooks said, you tell them right now that he's leaving with me on tour unless he's a series regular. And that's what he said. And he wrote it in an email. He sent it to my manager. My manager forwarded Mel Brooks's message to Nickelodeon, and they went, fine. And they made me a series regular.
So they add more dimension to Gustavo?
Yeah, they just made it so that Gustavo had to, if you're a series regular, you're in every single episode of the series. Like, they cannot, like, if they write you out of an episode, they still have to pay you for that episode. There's rules. And so at that point, I was supposed to just be in like half the episodes, and he got me it's because of Mel Brooks that I got series regular.
So there's 73 episodes of Big Time Rush, but you're in 72 of them.
Yes. So only one, Big Time Dating, I believe, is the one where it was just the boys, and for that one they still had to pay me even though I wasn't in the episode.
Oh, so it was their choice to utilize you or not.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How did they come up with Gustavo's iconic look with his sideburns, and is that all natural? Is that real?
I mean, that's what I looked like.
That was me.
It was already the way that I was dressed, and my facial hair was already like that. I think the big thing is, I mean, they thought it was suit and tie. That was the character, Silver Fox, suit and tie. And I walked in and I was like, that's not who I am. And they slowly, within the first few days, like, if you watch that pilot, I'm wearing a hoodie in the pilot that was my hoodie that I brought to the set. The chains and all that stuff, that's I think we bought them downtown, me and the costume team. And then I wore a Kangol hat in the first episode, and I was like, oh, it'd be great to wear Kangol in every episode. And they were like, it's impossible, because Kangol hats were like $50 a piece, and you have to have multiples. So if I'm getting hit in the face with a pie,
they need backups for take 2.
And also for my stunt guy. So like, both of us have to be wearing, these Kangols, and they're expensive. So what I did is I just called Kangol in New York, and I was like, hey, your hats are 100% recognizable, whether you can see the logo or not. Do you want to give me some hats and I'll wear them on the show? And they were like, no problem. And they sent me 200 hats, like 5 in every color that they made. And I wore them for the whole first season. And then they sent another 200 for the next season. And as of today, I think it's been 16 years or something like this. I've been sponsored by them, and we've done all sorts of cool things together over the years. But yeah, like that was me being like, this is what this character should be wearing. Let's push for it, And yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was a cool little situation.
Can we do some rapid fire?
Yeah, please ask me anything.
Best Big Time Rush song
Worldwide, I think.
How come?
It hits different, that song. It hits the heart. I think Halfway There is the one that's the most emotionally charged for me, because it was halfway through the first season, and when they sang it for the first time in front of everyone, the entire crew was in tears because no one wanted it to end. We didn't know what was going to happen and how long it was going to go, and everybody loved it so much and loved working on it so much, and it was really a family of family crew, like celebrations constantly on set. We were very lucky. So yeah.
Favorite episode of the series to film?
Oh, that's easy. Big Time Terror is my favorite, because of a few reasons. There is a scene I move in with the boys in Big Time Terror, but then we did a scene from my favorite musical, Fiddler on the Roof. We did a scene from Fiddler on the Roof in the show. And it's where the ghost comes to visit him in his dreams. And it's one of my favorite moments in the musical. And then getting to do that in a TV show was like, goals,
Who broke character the most?
Probably, I'm gonna say Kendall. Probably Kendall broke the most. Yeah, it was great.
One scene fans still quote to you:
"I'm amazing," and "Bring the fire." Those are the two big ones that I get.
Do you have a favorite Gustavo quote?
I think tree hats is one of my favorites, because I couldn't say it without a weird accent. Like they were like, yell tree hats. And I'd be like, tree hats. And they're like, why are you saying it with like an accent? And I'd be like, I don't know. And so every single take, they even put like a sound effect over me saying it, because they couldn't get me to do it without like a weird accent on the hats. I would go, hats, tree hats. It's just very silly. My favorite was at Big Time Rush concerts, people would come dressed as Gustavo. So you're in the middle of performing, you look out and you just see yourself in the audience, which is very weird, but I loved it so much. And then the other thing was people with tree hats, where they made their own tree hats. That was pretty great. That was awesome.
This has been awesome. What else do you have coming up? Do you have any more? Are you doing more shows?
Yeah. The big stuff that's coming up right now is working on an album for all the songs that we did on the tour, to like put those out and release those, and even bring in special guests as like duets and stuff like this, which will be really fun and very exciting. So we start working on that. The April 28th is first day in studio, and that'll be really cool.
Oh, that's so soon.
Very soon.
Are all your demos recorded and you know what you're gonna do?
Yeah, we did all of them on the tour, so we have like a pretty good idea of what we're doing. But that's very exciting. May 30th, I'm performing in Los Angeles, California. It's my first big like headline concert in LA. It'll be stories from the tour and songs from the tour and more. And we're doing that at the Sunrose on Sunset Boulevard, and it's a super gorgeous venue. I saw T-Pain do a show there, and NoFX perform there, and some other really cool places. People perform there. So yeah, it's very cool. That I'm very excited about that. And then last but not least, I have an animated short film I've been working on for 5.5 years.
Wow.
We're rounding the corner on the end of it, but it's looks really good, and the cast is bananas. It's Tony Hale from Arrested Development, Ming-Na Wen, the voice of Mulan. Mel Brooks came in and did a role, which is a huge deal.
Reuniting.
Amazing. Spencer Grammer from Rick and Morty is in it, and so is Ghostface Killah from the Wu-Tang Clan.
How'd you get him?
We have
We're boys.
we are good friends. We have
I met him at a
some,
red carpet. I just went in.
we have some in the same management. We're same management team. So I was able to reach out to him through that. But my favorite crazy story, Tony Hale. I was at the grocery store and he was in line in front of me at Ralph's. And I own a 1934 Mercedes-Benz Roadster replica. It's not a real one. It's like a fake, but it looks like a Dick Tracy car or like the Cruella de Vil car, right? And I was standing behind him in line, and he had just done Inside Out 2, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're killing it!" And he was like, "Oh, thanks." And I was like, "I'm working with these amazing directors from Pixar and stuff like this, and on this animated short, and it's been years." And he's like, "Oh my God, that's such a big deal." And I was like, "We should stay in touch. You know, I'll follow you on Instagram or something." And he was like, "All right, cool, thanks, man. And yeah, we'll stay in touch." And I was like, "Okay, have a good one." And we go downstairs, and I get in my 1934 Mercedes-Benz, and I drive past him slowly, and I go, "Have a great day." And he goes, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this old thing? It's nothing, you know?" And he was like, "Steven, this is ridiculous." And then we like exchanged numbers. And then about literally a year later, I was like, "Would you be interested in maybe playing a role in this short?" You know? And he was like, of course I'll do that with you. And came on board and did a great job, and he's amazing. So yeah.
When's that going to come out? Do you know?
The aim is early 2027.
And where can people watch it?
I mean, God willing, you know, it'll go to all the festivals and do all the things, but it's an animated short about my dog and her helping me get through like a difficult time in my life and all that kind of stuff, and just how important dogs are, you know?
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thanks so much for coming by.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. This is so cool.
Guys,
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of your stuff. So
thanks.
This is very cool.
Guys, go see Steven on tour, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Stream the new music.
You bet. You bet.
Yeah.
You can always follow everything at StevenKramerGlickman.com. That's the website.
Awesome. And then you're just doing NostalgiaCon. Do you do other cons too?
Yeah. I'm going to do Miami and more throughout the year. Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Are you signed with a Celeb Works kind of thing? Or how does that work?
Yeah, well, I'm an Innovative.
Innovative.
And Innovative has a Comic Con like touring department. So I'm there for that, but I'm there for across the board, which
that's
is
amazing.
Which is great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you? Do you do that too?
No, I'm going to Level Up to film with, do you know Has Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm doing like a couple vlogs with them, just filming for them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I love going to those things.
Dude, I was at a con and I ran into Alex
Brightman?
And I go,
Broadway legend.
I saw him and I just go, hey, Alex, I just wanted to say that like I have so much respect for, and he put his hand on my chest and he goes, "Stop it. I fucking love you."
Oh, wow.
And I have seen everything you've done and I am obsessed with you, and you and I will find a way to work together in this world. I promise you. And then he gave me a big hug and I fucking teared up. And it's like, I've only heard the soundtrack to Beetlejuice. I've never even seen, like, I have watched an episode of Has Been Hotel, but I have so much respect for that man and the work that he's done in Hollywood and in Broadway. Like, I'm a huge fan of his work on Broadway. But I mean, I haven't been able to go to New York a bunch to go see shows, but everything he's done. I'm just such a fucking huge fan. But the way that he talked to me was so, it like took me out. It was really, really sweet. And the last con that I went to, I saw Weird Al Yankovic.
Wow.
And I walked over and I go, I just want to let you know that UHF was like very instrumental in like my comedy sensibility as growing up. And I love your work so much and I'll leave you alone. And he goes, you don't have to leave me alone. Take a seat. And I was like, okay. And I like sat down and we had lunch together. And while we're having lunch, Dana Gould comes over, who was like the head writer of The Simpsons and is an amazing, amazing person. And he goes, hey, my 2 guests for my podcast tomorrow. I'll see you both on stage tomorrow afternoon.
Shut up.
And I was like, we're doing the show. And then we got to spend the whole next day together too. And oh, my little nerd brain was like, could barely handle it. It was crazy, man. Magical.
Hollywood, baby.
Hollywood, baby.
Hollywood, baby.
Hollywood, baby.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys. That was so great.
Thanks so much, dude.
Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, give a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, make sure to subscribe. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel.